They say character is revealed in the moments when you have everything to lose, but sometimes it's revealed in the quiet second, right before you decide to take away everything someone else stands to gain. If you love stories where the quietest person in the room wields the biggest hammer, hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, you won't want to miss how this one unfolds. The sound of a heavy ceramic mug shattering against a hardwood floor echoes through the apartment. Pieces of a broken mug lie on the floor, coffee pooling around a hand-woven rug. A woman stands in the center of the kitchen. She is effortlessly elegant, dressed in designer loungewear that screams, "old money." Her posture is rigid, her face contorted in a mix of disgust and arrogance. This is a person who has never been told no in her 26 years of life. She holds a smartphone, like a weapon, pointing it toward a man sitting at the kitchen island. "Look at it. Just look at the metrics," she says, her voice dripping with venom. 3 months of you locking yourself in the study, missing my family's dinners, ignoring my friends, and for what? A glitching piece of code that a middle schooler could design. The man at the island doesn't flinch. He is 28, wearing a faded hoodie, his eyes carrying the deep exhaustion of someone who hasn't slept more than 4 hours a night for a year. He is a brilliant software architect, the kind of mind that builds the infrastructure of the modern world while staying entirely behind the curtain. He calmly reaches down, picks up a paper towel, and begins wiping a stray drop of coffee from his laptop case. She laughs harshly and says, "You're pathetic. My father is pitching the board at a multi-billion-dollar New York venture firm tomorrow, trying to secure our family's legacy, and I'm stuck living with a quitter who can't even get a beta test to run without crashing. Either you pay the remainder of the lease on this place and cover my car note for the next year so I don't look associated with a failure, or we're done. Right here. Right now." The man looks at her, truly looks at her. The silence in the room stretches, heavy and suffocating. "Understood," he says, his voice calm and monotone. He stands up. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't argue. He slides his key fob across the marble countertop. It makes a sharp, metallic clink against the stone. He closes his laptop, slips it into his backpack, and walks toward the front door. "Where are you going? We aren't finished. You think you can just walk out on me? You're nothing without my family's backing," she shouts after him. The heavy oak door clicks shut behind him. I didn't look back. As I stepped into the crisp autumn air of Boston, I knew she thought she had won. She thought she had broken me. She was completely unaware that by pushing me out the door, she had just handed me the keys to her family's absolute destruction. To understand how we arrived at that broken mug on a Tuesday afternoon, you have to understand the illusion we had been living in. For 3 years, I was the supportive partner. When she wanted to launch a boutique marketing agency that bled cash from day one, I paid the overhead. When her high society schedule required a luxury SUV, I co-signed the lease and quietly handled the monthly transfers. I was the invisible engine running her glamorous life. My project wasn't a failure. It was a proprietary algorithmic logistics platform, a piece of software capable of streamlining supply chains for massive shipping conglomerates. It was complex, revolutionary, and required immense processing power. But to her and her elitist social circle, if a project didn't have a flashy logo and an immediate Instagram following, it was worthless. 3 weeks prior, we were sitting at a high-end restaurant, surrounded by her family. Her father, a smug, silver-haired executive in his late 50s, sipped an expensive scotch. Her mother sat opposite him, draped in diamonds. "We expect certain compromises from the man who marries into this family," her mother said, smiling thinly. "A real career, for starters. Corporate consulting, perhaps a vice presidency at a firm we influence. This hobby of yours, this coding, it's simply not appropriate for the social circles we move in." The father watched my reaction closely, looking for a sign of weakness, a crack in my resolve. "Your mother is right," her father nodded. "Tomorrow, I am meeting with the senior partners at a premier venture capital firm in Manhattan. If we secure their funding, our family firm dominates the East Coast. We can't have a son-in-law tinkering in the basement like an unemployed teenager. You will shut down your servers, liquidate your assets, and accept the position I've carved out for you at my firm. Am I clear?" I had looked at the family. I saw the condescension in their eyes, the complete lack of respect for my intellect and my autonomy. I hadn't hesitated. "Understood," I said. I had stood up, stepped outside the restaurant into the chilly night, and made one quiet call to a former colleague from MIT. "It's me," I said into the phone. "The proprietary build is stable. Run the final stress test on the isolated server. Don't tell a soul." When I had walked back into the restaurant, the conversation had instantly stopped. No one at the table would meet my eyes. They thought they had broken my spirit. They thought I had surrendered. Back in the present day, I walk into a small, rented co-working space in downtown Boston. I sit down, opens my laptop, and log into an encrypted portal. My eyes narrow. My phone buzzes. A notification pops up. It's an Instagram post from my fiancée. The image is a blurry, unauthorized photo of my laptop screen showing a temporary runtime error from last night's simulation. The caption reads, "Living with a quitter, time to upgrade." Beneath the post, her friends' comments are already flooding in, filled with laughing emojis and mocking insults. I look at the screen. I don't get angry. I take a deep breath, save a screenshot of the post to a secure folder, and mutter a single word. Inspiring. She wanted to play dirty in public. Fine. But she forgot one fundamental rule of the digital age. Never humiliate the person who controls your infrastructure. The next morning, the scene shifts to a sleek, glass-walled boardroom in Manhattan. Her father is standing at the head of a massive mahogany table, giving a high-stakes presentation to a panel of stern-faced investors. Among the investors is a sharp, brilliant woman in her early 40s, the managing partner of the most prestigious venture capital firm in New York. She is known for her brutal efficiency and an uncanny ability to spot a fraud from a mile away. The father clicks through a PowerPoint slide showing a logistics model and says, "Our proprietary routing system will cut shipping overhead by 15% across all major North American ports. We are seeking a $50 million evaluation to take this system live." The managing partner narrows her eyes, studying the data on the screen. This data looks remarkably similar to an open-source framework published by an MIT aggregate group last year. "Can you prove your development team authored this core algorithm?" The father smiles smoothly, though a bead of sweat forms at his hairline. He pulls out a flash drive. "Of course," the father says. "In fact, to prove our operational capability, I have brought the source code logs and the access credentials to our live alpha server right here." He slides the flash drive across the table to the managing partner. "Feel free to have your technical team audit our server architecture right now," the father adds. "We have nothing to hide." That was his fatal mistake. In his desperate attempt to look like the smartest man in the room, he handed over a flash drive containing the live network credentials to his company's internal server, a server that, unbeknownst to him, was still linked to an old shared cloud network I had built for them out of courtesy 2 years ago. He thought he was showing off his fortress. In reality, he had just handed me the keys to his front door. Meanwhile, back in Boston, I am sitting in my co-working space. A terminal window on my laptop alerts me to an external connection. I see the New York venture firm's IP address accessing her father's server. Because his system is still linked to the old cloud network, I now have a direct, real-time mirror of everything the venture firm is auditing. I smile a cold, sharp smile. I open a separate browser window and access a blind submission portal for the exact same New York venture capital firm. I upload a massive file titled Project Sovereign, complete source code and stress test metrics. I use an anonymous corporate entity I registered months ago. In the submission notes, I append a simple, devastating message. The data you are currently auditing in Room 4B is a plagiarized, stripped-down version of this master framework. Check the digital timestamps on page 14. I hit submit. As I clicked that button, I knew the dominoes were set. The trap was laid, and my ex-fiancée and her family were walking right into it, completely blind. I close my laptop and check my watch. It's 2 p.m. I pull up a banking app on my phone. I look at a shared corporate account used to fund my fiancée's marketing agency, her luxury car lease, and the premium lifestyle she flaunted. With 3 deliberate taps, I unlink my primary bank account, revoke my financial guarantees, and liquidate the joint credit lines. She told me she wasn't my caregiver when I was working 80-hour weeks to build a future for us. She claimed I was dragging her down, so I decided to let her fly on her own wings. I stopped covering the things she never noticed I handled. I wanted to see how long her perfect world could float without my money keeping it afloat. I knew the storm was coming. What I didn't realize was just how spectacularly her entire life would shatter before the sun even went down. In a high-end fashion boutique in the Back Bay area of Boston, she is surrounded by her friends, holding several expensive designer dresses. She walks up to the counter with a triumphant smirk, handing her platinum card to the cashier. "Put everything on this," she says. The cashier slides the card through the terminal. A sharp, aggressive beep echoes through the quiet boutique. The cashier frowns, tries again, and looks up with an uncomfortable expression. "I'm sorry, ma'am," the cashier says. "The transaction was declined. Insufficient funds or account closed." Her face flushes bright red. Her friends whisper behind their hands. "That's impossible. Try it again. It's a premium line," she demands. "I've tried twice, ma'am," the cashier replies. "The system says the primary guarantor has removed authorization." She snatches her card back, her blood running cold. She steps outside the boutique and furiously dials my number. It goes straight to voicemail. She pulls up her banking app. Her jaw drops. The balances on her business accounts are sitting at zero. The automatic payment for her luxury SUV lease has bounced, and a repossession warning notification flashes across her screen. Her entire daily schedule, meticulously built on a foundation of my quiet financial support, instantly collapses. Meanwhile, back in the Manhattan boardroom, the atmosphere has turned ice cold. The managing partner looks up from her laptop, her expression terrifyingly calm. She looks at her father, who is still smiling like a salesman. "Sir, can you explain why the digital timestamps on your core algorithm predate your company's incorporation by 2 full years?" the managing partner asks. "And can you explain why an anonymous submission just delivered the complete master framework of this exact software, including a copyright registered to an independent developer in Boston?" The father's smile freezes. The color drains from his face. There must be a mistake. Our development team—" The father stammers. "Your development team stole this code," the managing partner interrupts, standing up. "Or rather, you took credit for the work of a brilliant mind you were too arrogant to recognize. This meeting is over. Our compliance team will be contacting the regulatory authorities regarding attempted intellectual property fraud. Get out of my office." The father stumbles backward, nearly knocking over his chair. His phone begins ringing violently in his pocket. It's his daughter, panicking from a street corner in Boston. The father walks out of the venture firm's building onto the chaotic streets of New York, his hands shaking as he answers the call. "Not now!" the father cries, his voice cracking. "Everything just blew up. The venture firm found out the code isn't ours. They're threatening legal action. We're ruined!" On the other end of the line, standing outside the boutique in Boston, she gasps. "What do you mean?" "Dad, my cards are declined. My business accounts are wiped out. The bank says the guarantor withdrew everything." The father stops dead in his tracks on the sidewalk. The realization hits him like a physical blow. The quiet kid, it was him. He built the cloud network we used. He had access to everything. "No, he's a quitter. He failed. He couldn't even get his own project to work," she screams over the phone. "He didn't fail, you idiot!" the father shouts desperately. "He bypassed us. You need to find him right now. Apologize, beg, do whatever it takes. If he doesn't withdraw that copyright claim, our family goes bankrupt by the end of the week." She thought she was the one holding all the cards. She thought her status and her family's name made her untouchable. She was about to learn that in the real world, status is just a shadow cast by actual power, and actual power belongs to the person who writes the code. Later that evening, in a luxury hotel suite in downtown Boston, I am sitting on a plush leather sofa, a glass of sparkling water on the table in front of him. Sitting across from me is the managing partner of the New York venture capital firm. She had flown into Boston on a private charter just 2 hours after the disastrous meeting with the father. "Your master framework is flawless," the managing partner says. "It's exactly what the global shipping industry has been begging for. We are prepared to offer you an initial $25 million investment for a minority stake, with full legal backing to protect your intellectual property against anyone who tries to claim otherwise." I nod once, calm and collected. "Understood. We have a deal." Suddenly, the heavy double doors of the hotel suite lounge burst open. My ex-fiancée rushes in, her hair disheveled, her expensive makeup smudged from crying. She had tracked my phone's location through an old shared security app I forgot to deactivate. She stops in her tracks when she sees me sitting comfortably across from the very managing partner her father had tried to pitch. What are you doing here?" she asks, gasps and breathless. He said you ruined us." I don't stand up. I look at her with an expression of total indifference. It's the look a stranger gives someone who accidentally bumped into them on the subway. "Please remove this individual," the managing partner tells the hotel security guard who followed her in. "She is interrupting a private corporate signing." "Wait, please," she cries, stepping desperately toward me. "I was stressed yesterday. I didn't mean those things I posted. I was just trying to motivate you. We're a team. You can't let my family's company go under. We've been together for 3 years. You owe me that much." I take a slow sip of my water. I set the glass down with a soft clink. the exact same sound my key fob made on her kitchen counter the day before. "You told me you weren't my caregiver when I needed a partner," I tell her, my voice cutting through the room like ice. "You told your friends I was a quitter. You wanted to upgrade. Consider this your upgrade." The hotel security guards step forward, firmly taking her by her arms. She begins to scream, tears streaming down her face as she is dragged out of the luxury lounge into the hallway. "You can't do this to me. You can't just leave me with nothing," she screams. The heavy doors shut, cutting off her screams. The lounge returns to absolute silence. The managing partner looks at me, a look of profound respect in her eyes. Cold, but effective. "Shall we sign the paperwork?" I pick up a sleek fountain pen. Let's finish it. Back in the quiet, co-working space, I am packing my laptop into my backpack. My phone lies on the desk. The screen is glowing continuously. Notifications are scrolling by at a dizzying speed. There are 47 missed calls from my ex-fiancée, 82 text messages saying, "Please answer me," and 15 missed calls from her father. On Instagram, there are over 99 comments on the screenshot of her post. I pick up the phone. I don't open a single message. I don't read a single plea for mercy. I walk over to a recycling bin, drop my old SIM card inside, and slide a brand new, unlisted SIM into my phone. I walk out of the building into the bustling, brightly lit streets of Boston, merging into the crowd, completely invisible, entirely free. By the time she tried to reach me again, desperate to undo the damage her arrogance had caused, someone else had already answered in my place. The consequences of her own actions. They say the best revenge is living well. But sometimes, the best revenge is simply letting a toxic person face the exact reality they created for themselves, while you walk away into a future they can no longer afford to be a part of. If you enjoyed this story of quiet calculation and sweet satisfaction, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more narratives where the underdog takes it all. Until next time, keep your code clean and your circles close.